And everybody, it's wonderful to be hello boys and girls and everybody. It's wonderful to be back again for another week and another exploration of the Bible. We have been learning a lot, and if you haven't watched it, do you know the drill? You need to go back and watch the children talk. Christine was talking last Sunday and it's a wonderful talk. So if you haven't watched it, just go and watch it, and then we are going to explore together a bit more about this story for this week. So this week, as we continue our exploration, we are going to be learning about two books of the Bible that we normally don't read too much about it. The first is in the book of Leviticus and the second is in the book of Numbers. And this week, as we start learning, we are going to be learning about some things that the people of Israel did bad. So as you remember, or as we studied last week, do you remember that we played the traffic light games with red, green and yellow? This is another week that we can learn a bit more about that. And a couple of weeks ago I posted a bedtime story called Arlo and the Great Cover-Up. So as we learn about the difficulties and the sin that happened this week, it would be good maybe one of the night this week to watch again Arlo and the Great Cover-Up and try to talk with mom and dad why it's important that we don't cover up when we do things bad. In the story we noticed that Arlo painted on the wall and he tried to cover and he tried to just make a big pile, but it was a big mess at the end. So this week let's reflect a tiny bit about sin, about the covering up, and about being honest and truthful when we are doing the stuff. So also this week we are going to be learning more about different stuff, and soon we are going to be learning about the big word of the week. So we have been in a couple of weeks without a big word, and this week we have the big word of the week. And the big word of the week is sacrifice. Again, try to spell that and see how you can spell, or maybe point it in a place or on the house when you can check. But what is sacrifice? Sacrifice, and we learn about this week about sacrifice, and sacrifice was a substitution, something that took the place. Do you remember when we do something that is bad, and when we learn in the story of Arlo and the Great Cover-Up that there were some consequences? When we have been learning in the Bible and we learn that when Adam and Eve did something bad in the Garden of Eden, there was a consequence for them. When the people of Israel, as you listen to the story that Christine was doing, they worship an idol, there was a consequence. And for everything that we do bad, there is a consequence. So the big word this week is sacrifice. And sacrifice is the substitution to the consequence of our sin. This week we are going to learn about the sacrifice and what God asks for the sacrifice to be. But also this week, as we learn about the sacrifice, we learn that one day there was going to be one sacrifice, one substitution that was going to be final. I am not going to tell you what that sacrifice is, but I am pretty sure you know. As we are going to be approaching Easter, we are going to be learning more about that sacrifice. So how about you hit me with a comment and you let me know, as we learn about sacrifice and the big word of the week, what is the biggest sacrifice that erases all the consequences of sin that we had to suffer. Just to finalize some of the ideas, in the second half of the week we are going to be talking about the desert and about the complainings and the things that were bad for the people of Israel when they were in the desert. And for this part of the week, how about we play the game what is good today and what is good for tomorrow. I think we did that in one of the first week. And so let's try to do that again. The people of Israel were in the desert and they were suffering a lot. But what it was really bad for them on that time was really good into the future, because God was preparing them to receive the gift of the promised land that we are going to be learning in the upcoming weeks. For example, I am thirsty, and we learn for the adults about the living water. But what is the best for me now? Maybe I want a can of Coke or fizzy drinks, and that is something that is good for me in the immediate. But in the future and for my health, having a glass of water is a lot better than a can of Coke. If I am hungry, maybe I want a Big Mac for today and it's going to taste really good, but in 20 minutes I am going to be hungry again because that Big Mac didn't have all the stuff that I needed. So maybe for my snack a Big Mac is not the best, as in the future it's not going to be good for my health. As we learn, and I love the song of Super Potato, fruit and vegetable keep us alive. Always remember to eat your 5. What is good and what it looks really nice for us in the moment maybe is not the best for the future. And as we learn from the Bible, what it was really good in the moment for Adam and Eve taking that fruit and eat it, it wasn't really good for the future. What it was really good for the people of Israel about worshipping a cow, a golden calf, it wasn't really good for the future. So what we decide today, maybe it's not really good for the future. So as we learn about the sacrifice, and as we learn about the time in the desert, let's think about what is the best for today and for the future. I would be looking forward to see if you are able to spell the words and all the rest of the things that we are learning. Until then, I will see you next week as we continue all together exploring through the pages of the Bible. Goodbye!